There was once a time when a mangaka by the name of Oh Great made inline skating the coolest damn thing ever. This is the same author that created Burn Up XSNW, wrote and illustrated one of the most insane bottle series of the new millennium, Tenjo Tenge, and drew the Bakemonogatari manga. And you best believe I'm going to be talking about Tenjo Tenge later. But the series I'm talking about today is a series published from November 2002 to May 2012, concluding in 358 chapters across 37 volumes, and from April to September 2006, a 25-episode anime by Toei Animation would air. Street skating, street fights, and fan service, this is Air Gear. Opening with Chain by Back-On, Air Gear tries to set the feel of what it's supposed to be. Somewhere between urban rebellion and late teens drama. I mean, it's trying to make rollerblading look cool, and the only other media I remember even trying to do that would be Jet Set Radio and its spiritual successor. The episode proper starts with a narrative lore drop on what Air Trek are, effectively motorized rollerblades. IRL, we probably have the tech that could create something similar. Wouldn't surprise me to see it show up on the market, though it would probably be expensive. The protagonist, Itsuki Minami, lives a very restricted and abused life with the Noyamano sisters, Rika, Mikan, Ringo, and Shiraume, and Mikan is an authoritarian bitch to him for some reason. Small tangent, their names are fruits: Pear Blossom, Mandarin Orange, Apple, and White Plum. Enter a splash of character building with a flashback to Iki, as he's called, losing a fight against a rival gang. Yup, color gangs are part of this story. Iki runs off because of Mikan, can't blame him, and a scene with a pink-haired chick basically flying around provides some foreshadowing. Back at the Noyamanos, there's a bit more world building and Iki finds a whole room of air treks, and some dongles that read Sleeping Forest. Of course he takes a pair for a try, and almost unsubs from lack of skill. He runs into an ogress who notes that he's got one of the dongles and assumes he's part of their group.
Karachi! Eh?
The Sleeping Forest kid needs to go to meeting, okay?
Yeah, okay. Move it or lose it, Hollywood! Wait for me!
Granddad's moves are hard for him to keep up with, but he still leads Iki to the big meeting, which looks like a social gathering for skaters. There we learn the pink hair's name is Simka, or that's just what she's called. And just as it looks like Iki's gonna go round 2 with the purple skinhead, the cops show up and shut it down. But skinhead asshole's not gonna let up, and Iki has risked an effectively stolen emblem on this. Simka fires him up, then the Noyamano sisters interject into this little competition. It was their emblem he put on the line, with his first actual race ending with his dramatic turnaround as Iki claims victory and the skinhead runs off. Iki decides to create his own team and ropes his friends into it, so he already has 3 of 5. Later that night, he finds Simka being chased by some guys in dog helmets and lariats his way into the event. He has no idea what's going on and he's just interjecting himself as he pleases. There's some building tension between Iki and Rinko since Iki seems enamored with Simka, and then the dog gang shows up again. They want their emblem back. Meanwhile, Rinko confronts Simka, and that goes kind of like this. There's some world building for what the emblems are and things that are going on with AT tech, how letter classes work, and something like parts gambling, followed by an introduction for the next antagonist. Iki's friends Kazuma and Onigiri get their asses beat, and it lights a fire in Iki. He and Bucha race with a tense back and forth. Then it's an all-out war between Bucha's gang and the students that hate them. And of course, Iki wins, which prompts the Flame King known as Spitfire to show up for a bit of cryptic world building. And a surprise visit from Simka later. For a bit more world building, including Simka's motivations and a bit of Rinko's history as an AT rider. A new antagonist shows up and issues a direct threat to Iki. He gets baited into a third rematch with the purple skinhead. Something resembling a greater plot comes from this, and then Iki recruits the two former villains Bucha and Agito into his group to fill out a 5-man team, naming them Kogarasu-maru, referencing the sword created by Amekuni Yasutsuna from the 700s AD, name meaning Little Crow Circle, and the story evolves as needed from there. Air Gear really is a high school drama using just a bit of sci-fi to facilitate inline skating to tell a story. To cover who the important characters are, with Iki's team we got Agito, who's got the Chuni trope complete with a nasty split personality as dictated by his eye patch. The other foe-turned-friend Isa Mihotoke, usually called Bucha, who's got his own complexities from his Buddhist upbringing, but seems like a decent enough guy. Onigiri, who is a typical loser trope, which does allow him for some level of character growth, though not much. He's mostly just a pervert and some comic relief. And the fourth being Kazuma, who acts like something of a moral compass to level out with when Onigiri and Iki get pervy, but in his own way he's just as driven and competitive as Iki. But the three most important characters are Iki, Rinko, and Simka. Iki being the protagonist, he gets the lion's share of the plot and development. He's a punk, simple as. He's headstrong and impulsive, violent and compassionate, honest and moral when it matters, but not above lowbrow behavior. He's what you would picture when someone says anime protagonist. He's also hyper-fixated on doing everything his own way to the point that he doesn't notice the feelings of the people around him. Those people being Simka, who's mostly left unexplained aside from her intention to use Iki to get what she wants. Her behavior will cause you to question whether she actually likes Iki or if she really is just using him. She's the one who gets Iki into Air Trek and causes most of his trouble for the first part of the story. She's also often referenced as the swallow and migratory bird. The other being Rinko, who's been hiding her history with Air Trek from him intentionally, as she is both a member of Sleeping Forest and holds the status of Thorn Queen. It's also blatantly obvious with everyone around her that she's deeply in love with him. She's also what's called a gravity child. So what is a gravity child? Well, it's a big part of the plot, so I'm just going to give a brief summary. The original designers of Air Trek came to the understanding that normal people weren't able to bring out 100% of the gear, so they genetically modified children and raised them in 0G. Eventually, 28 of those children would escape and integrate into society. They're special for many reasons, but I'll leave you to discover those on your own. Some of the ones who've been seen in the anime would be 3 of the 4 Noyamono sisters, Simka, and Spitfire. The underlying theme of Air Gear is freedom. Freedom of movement, of choice, real manifest destiny story with a high emphasis on using Air Trek for the love of it rather than as a weapon. Because you can bet raising genetically modified children in a zero-gravity environment is weapons research. Wings and flying being a constant motif, along with the occasional redemption story. Like how both Bucho and Agito start off as antagonists, but are won over by Iki's crew and reintroduced to the pure joy of being able to fly with their skates. And with why Rika is such a hard-ass on Iki. It's a solid story backed by O'Great's absolutely nutty art style. Half the reason you'd even read the manga is for the art alone, but the story is well written enough for the manga to last 10 years and win multiple awards. And there's plenty of fan service as is O'Great's style, but also it gets weird, which is also O'Great's style. Compared to his first series, Tenjo Tenge, the story is just written a lot better. The drama isn't convoluted, and the comedy is poignant enough to break up what would otherwise be an incredibly intense story. The anime even has a great OST composed by Hideki Naganuma under the alias Skank Funk. You might not immediately recognize the name Naganuma, but you've definitely heard his work from Jet Set Radio, since the track Sneak Man is wildly popular, especially amongst streamers. I wouldn't be surprised if some started using Skygrinder as part of their BGM. And that's all I want to say about Air Gear. I am the NBT. This has been the Noble Weeaboo. Like or don't, sub or don't. And thank you for watching. Air Gear is what happens when you take one of the best games of the Dreamcast and Xbox, give the characters actual personality beyond their visual design, and inject a dramatic story about teen angst and shady government programs. It's a series that absolutely deserves a reboot more in line with the manga, And if it happens, I wouldn't be surprised in the least to see an uptick in inline skating interest or someone actually making air treks.
Ringo, you see that? I'm a genius. And I've got superpowers too.
Right.